You've noticed it, haven't you? The loop. The calendar flipping, but nothing really changing. Wake up. Work. Distract yourself. Sleep. Repeat. They call it stability, but stability was never the point. It's sedation. A way to keep you numb enough to never ask why. You were trained to find comfort in repetition, because repetition keeps you blind. The system has perfected this trap. It doesn't need chains when it has habits. Your alarm clock is a leash. Your paycheck is a leash. Even your weekend freedom is already scripted, predictable escapes, designed to recharge you just enough to survive another cycle. You're not living. You're running a program you didn't write. Comfort is the most dangerous prison because it doesn't look like a prison. It feels warm, it feels safe, it feels earned. That's the trick. They give you just enough pleasure, just enough distraction, just enough entertainment to keep you from noticing that your spark is gone. It isn't life, it's anesthesia. You were told that questioning this pattern is rebellion, that wanting more makes you ungrateful. But deep down, you felt it. That quiet pulse inside, whispering, this isn't all their island. The routines are too clean, too empty, a script built not for your soul but for your compliance. And here's the truth. If you never disrupt the loop, you will mistake sedation for peace. You will call your cage a sanctuary, and you will die thinking you were free. But even inside that loop, something leaks through. Haven't you noticed? The hollow echo at the end of every achievement. You get the promotion, the car, the vacation, and then the silence returns. Hunger disguised as satisfaction. Desire disguised as fulfillment. No matter what you consume, it dissolves into the same emptiness. That's not failure. That's design. The system thrives on your chasing. It sells you the next product, the next title, the next relationship, as if they will complete you. And for a moment, they almost do. But the void is patient. The void waits. And when the lights fade, you feel it again, untouched, unhealed, undefeated. You've tried to fill it with noise, more work, more screens, more validation from people who are just as lost. But no matter how much you pour into the hole, it only grows. Because the void is not asking for more. It is asking for truth. It is the part of you that refuses to be silenced by distractions. The uncomfortable secret is this. The void is not your enemy. It is your compass. It points away from the scripted life and toward something real. The reason it hurts is because it cannot be faked. It demands what the system cannot provide: purpose, essence, awakening. You can keep feeding the hollow with illusions, or you can listen to it, because the moment you stop fearing the void and start hearing it, you will see it for what it truly is, the whisper of your own soul, begging you to wake up. There is always a moment, you know it, a quiet rupture in the script, when everything around you seems perfectly normal, yet something inside you whispers that none of this is real. It doesn't shout. It doesn't demand. It simply unsettles you, like a glitch at the corner of your vision. You sense that your job is hollow, that your routines are staged, that your laughter is sometimes borrowed rather than born. And in those seconds, you realize the life you are living is not entirely your own. It is a simulation of belonging, a fragile imitation of purpose, a dream carefully built to keep you from awakening. That whisper is not weakness. It is not madness. It is the rawest evidence that a deeper reality exists beneath the surface. The system taught you to silence it, to drown it with noise, to label it anxiety or distraction. But it is not anxiety, it is memory. Memory of the truth you once knew but forgot the moment they programmed you. When you were a child, you saw it clearly, the cracks in the mask of reality. You noticed how adults acted, how they played roles, how they betrayed their own essence just to keep the illusion intact. You felt it, and then they told you to stop noticing, to stop asking, to stop seeing. But truth cannot be erased. It waits in silence, like an old code running in the background of your mind, surfacing only when you are still enough to feel it. It emerges at night, when the world goes quiet. It appears in the unease you feel after scrolling endlessly, in the emptiness that follows achievement, in the dissonance between who you are and who you pretend to be. That whisper is your soul knocking on the walls of the prison, reminding you that the bars are invisible but real. The danger is not that you cannot hear it. The danger is that you might ignore it long enough to accept the lie as reality, that you might smother the whisper until it becomes silence. And silence in the wrong hands is death. The system's greatest victory is not in controlling your body, it is in convincing you that the whisper never existed, that you invented it, that you were foolish for believing something greater was possible. But if you listen, really listen, you will recognize it as the only voice in your life that does not lie to you. The whisper has no agenda. It does not sell you anything. It does not seek to enslave you. It only points, gently but relentlessly, toward the exit, toward the truth that will break you and then free you, the truth that you have always known. And then comes the moment when listening is no longer enough. The whisper demands an answer. You are offered a choice, not always as dramatic as a pill, but just as real. Do you continue to live inside the dream, wrapped in comfort, guided by fear, anesthetized by routine? Or do you step into the cold, merciless clarity of truth, knowing it will dismantle everything you thought you were? That choice is not symbolic. It is the axis upon which your entire life turns. Most people never make it. They sense the whisper, they feel the void, they taste the lie, and yet they turn away. Why? Because the lie is easier. The lie is familiar. The lie allows you to stay surrounded by people who have also chosen sleep. To choose truth is to walk away from their world, to lose the approval you once craved, to sacrifice the security you were promised. And that sacrifice terrifies the programmed self. The system knows this, that's why it has trained you to fear discomfort, to run from pain, to equate truth with suffering. But here is the paradox. The choice is unavoidable. Even if you refuse, you have chosen. To cling to the lie is still a decision, one that will consume you slowly, draining your essence until there is nothing left but obedience. To embrace the truth is to accept the wound it brings, to allow the illusions to die, to stand naked before reality without a mask. Yes, it is brutal. Yes, it will hurt. But in that hurt, something alive will return to you, something no lie can ever replace. The weight of choice is not that you must decide once. It is that you must decide every day. Each morning, you either repeat the program or disrupt it. Each conversation, you either wear the mask or remove it. Each thought, you either comply or awaken. The choice is not a single moment, it is the constant battle for your soul. That is why the system distracts you endlessly, so you forget you are choosing. Understand this, no one can choose for you. Not a mentor, not a savior, not even fate. You stand alone at the threshold, and in that solitude, the truth reveals itself. Freedom was never given, it is taken. And only those willing to bear the weight of choice will ever truly awaken. You've been taught to believe prisons are made of walls, locks, and guards. But the most effective prison requires none of those. The bars are invisible, the walls are built of beliefs, and the guards live inside your own mind. Since the moment you opened your eyes in this world, they began writing your script. What to believe, what to fear, what to value, what to chase. And you never questioned it, because the system is clever. It never shows you the chains. It teaches you to wear them like jewelry, to love them as proof of belonging. And so you march in formation not because you are forced, but because you believe it is who you are. The programming starts early. They hand you words before you can form your own. They hand you rules before you can sense your essence. They hand you an identity before you can discover your soul. They do not need to control your body when they can colonize your mind. And once the code is installed, you will obey without question. You will defend the very illusion that keeps you blind. You will call those who resist lost while you yourself remain asleep. That is how the prison sustains itself, through your loyalty to its lies. And notice how the prison rewards obedience. It gives you approval when you play the part. It gives you safety when you stay within the lines. It gives you recognition when you sacrifice truth for acceptance. Each reward is a bribe disguised as success, each punishment a reminder of the cost of rebellion. The system doesn't need to break you, it convinces you to break yourself. You censor your own voice. You doubt your own vision. You shrink until you fit perfectly in the mold they designed. And then you call that mold me. But if you've listened closely, you've already felt the tension, the fracture between the role you perform and the being you truly are. You've smiled when you wanted to scream. You've agreed when you wanted to walk away. You've stayed silent when your soul begged you to speak. And every time, you felt the invisible walls closing in, suffocating, reducing you to a shadow. That suffocation is the proof of the prison. It is the evidence that your essence has not died, because it still resists. Understand this. The prison cannot be escaped by force. It must be dissolved by sight. The moment you see the bars for what they are, they weaken. The moment you name the program, its hold begins to fracture. Awareness is the only key. Not more comfort, not more success. Only the courage to look directly at the system that owns your mind and to whisper, "I see you." That is when the prison begins to crumble. When the illusion cracks, pain always follows. You've felt it, the sharp ache of realizing that the life you built was never truly yours, the grief of watching your old identity collapse, the loneliness of stepping outside the herd. Pain is the price of truth, and that is why most turn away from it. They mistake pain for punishment, when in reality, it is initiation. It is the fire that burns the mask, the knife that cuts the cords, the storm that washes away the counterfeit self. Without pain, no awakening is possible. The system has taught you to fear pain above all else, to medicate it, to numb it, to hide it, to run from it. And yet, every attempt to avoid pain only deepens the illusion. You already know this because each time you've silenced the ache, it returned stronger. Each time you've ignored the wound, it grew deeper. Pain cannot be escaped, only transformed. And when you finally allow yourself to face it, you discover its hidden nature. Pain is not the enemy, but the passage, the door disguised as fire. Think of the moments when life shattered your expectations, loss, betrayal, failure. At the time, they felt like endings, but years later, you see them differently. They were beginnings in disguise. The pain stripped away illusions you would never have released willingly. It forced you to see truths you refused to confront. It broke the version of you that was never real, so the authentic self could breathe. That is what pain does. It dismantles the script, leaving you raw, vulnerable, but finally honest. And in that rawness, you meet yourself for the first time. Without the titles, without the masks, without the distractions, just you, naked before the truth. It terrifies you because it is so unfamiliar, yet it liberates you because it is so real. The pain shows you that everything you feared losing was never truly yours. The job, the approval, the illusion of safety, they were all rented costumes. And when they burn, what remains is the only thing that cannot be taken, your essence. So understand this. Pain is not a detour on the path. It is the path. To awaken without pain is impossible, because the illusion must be torn from your skin, and tearing always hurts. But within that hurt lies the first true breath of freedom. And when you realize this, pain stops being something you endure, it becomes something you walk through, eyes open, knowing it is the portal to everything you were meant to remember. When the illusions collapse, the first instinct is fear. Who am I without the roles they gave me? Who am I without the mask I wore for so long? It feels like death because, in a way, it is the death of the false self. But what dies is only what was never real. What remains is unshakable. It is the essence they tried to bury under expectations, titles, and obedience. And now, for the first time, you stand face to face with yourself. This is where most falter. They want to awaken, but they also want to keep the comfort of the dream. They want truth, but they also want approval. They want freedom, but they also want certainty. You cannot serve both masters. Awakening demands surrender, the willingness to lose the self they built for you, so you can remember the self you were always meant to be. That surrender is terrifying, but it is also liberation. Because when you stop clinging to what was never yours, your hands are finally free to grasp what is eternal. Reconstruction is not about adding more layers, it is about peeling them away. Each illusion you discard brings you closer to clarity. Each lie you release brings you closer to truth. Slowly you realize you are not broken. You were encoded with purpose all along. They told you that obedience was virtue, but you begin to see obedience was sedation. They told you that comfort was peace, but you begin to see comfort was control. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The awakened identity is not something you create, it is something you uncover. Beneath the scars, beneath the programming, beneath the endless noise. It is simple, unpretentious, silent yet unshakable. You realize you were never meant to blend in, never meant to obey, never meant to sleep. You were meant to choose, to see, to awaken. That is who you are when the illusions die. And with each step, your essence grows stronger. You stop needing their validation, you stop fearing their rejection, you stop mistaking their cages for safety. Because once you taste even a fragment of truth, nothing less will ever satisfy you again. You are no longer a character in their script, you are the author of your own. And now, here you stand. The illusions are exposed. The void has spoken. The whisper has been heard. The prison has been seen. The pain has burned. All of it has led to this moment, the moment of choice. It is the same choice every awakened soul must face. Return to the comfortable lie, or step fully into the painful truth. This is not a metaphor. This is your life. One path loops endlessly in repetition. The other shatters everything, but gives you back yourself. Do not underestimate the gravity of this decision. Choosing the lie means silence, forever silencing the whisper, forever numbing the void, forever wearing the mask until it fuses with your skin. You will survive, but you will not live. Choosing truth means wounds, loneliness, and the dismantling of everything familiar. But beyond that, dismantling lies clarity. Beyond the pain lies freedom. Beyond the ashes lies the rebirth of your essence. You have felt it, haven't you? That pull inside you, drawing you towards something greater. That longing for a life that isn't scripted. That ache for a freedom that cannot be bought. It is not arrogance to feel it, it is awareness. It is the signal that you were never like the others, that you were chosen to see what they cannot, that you were born not to obey, but to awaken. And so, the question becomes simple. Will you stay asleep, or will you rise? Will you continue to repeat the cycle, mistaking sedation for peace, illusion for reality, comfort for life? Or will you open your eyes, even if the light blinds you at first, and step into a world where nothing is certain except that you are finally free? This is the moment where you must decide. I ask you now, not as a voice on a screen, but as someone who knows what it is to choose. Which path will you take? Will you continue to live inside the dream, or will you step beyond it? Share your truth with me. I want to hear it. Because your voice matters, your journey matters, and you are not alone in this awakening. And if this message has touched you, I ask you to leave a like, to subscribe, and to share it with those who are ready to hear it. And before you go, don't forget to watch the next video that appears on your screen. It will continue this journey, guiding you deeper into the path you were always meant to walk.